This is the part of the show where we talk about Twitch streamers, if I remember correctly.
Well, that's how we started it last time.
Yeah.
I don't have any new Twitch
My
news.
kiddie pool hasn't arrived yet, but I did go on Twitch for a while today.
Oh.
And I was on, I was streaming on Twitch.
I had a feeling.
And there was some kind of like problem. It's like the first time in a while, haven't been doing it in a while. And I woke up and I thought, all right, I'm going to Twitch it for hours today.
Sure.
And so I logged on around 11 or 12 like I usually do, and there was some kind of problem and nobody could get on Twitch. Twitch was like
really
dead. Yeah, so I had to go do something else. But not really, because you're refreshing, constantly. And they have like an error thing where you could, like when the power goes out. I don't know what it's like, where we are, you can do this. When the power goes, there's a power outage.
Yeah.
And you can get you can subscribe to a thing that's like, oh, tell me when the power's back on.
Sure. Right.
It's like, yeah, all right. Well, when I can find my phone to check on my messages,
right.
I guess the power's on, right?
Yeah.
And so you get the notification 6 hours after the power's come on. That's kind of what it was with the Twitch thing. I signed up for a Twitch thing to know when Twitch would be back. And I was already done. I'd streamed for like 2 hours and I was already done by the time they're like, oh, it's back up.
It's back on. I don't know if you know this.
Thank you. It's
Great.
literally, well, it's not the speed of light. The speed of electrons, the speed of a radio frequency in an atmosphere.
Sure.
And it's still coming on hours after I would want to hear about it. So what's up?
I don't know. That's
F5
really weird.
does the same thing. It's just me hitting F5.
I had a weird...
That's refresh.
The F5 is refresh? I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay, anyway.
Well,
that's why I
me.
said that. I knew you didn't know that.
No. Okay. Well, I guess I know that now. So I learned something. I've had something weird happen to me lately where my personal Twitter account, which I don't use very often, is currently suspended.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because of all your hot takes.
Well, and they're like, usually a Twitter account is suspended for violating Twitter's rules. I was like, I didn't post anything, so how could I violate
Maybe their
your
rule
rules?
is, hey, post something.
Yeah, right.
This ain't
so
free.
I think I was hacked is what I think happened. And so I put in, you have to file an appeal, and I've done that, and I've gotten like no word back. I've confirmed that I have my email address, and yes, this is me. And I haven't heard back from them, and my account is still suspended. It's been like a couple days now. So I don't know how long this is going to go on. I really hope I get it back because it is just Mikon Hana, and I would like my handle on Twitter because it's nice to have my handle. So yeah, I'm a little upset about that.
Be Mikon Hana 1.
Yeah, right. Which is probably already taken too.
The fact that they, we get, okay, ready for me to get political? That's what this show is about.
Sure.
You heard the Popeye music, you knew the politics were coming.
Yeah.
We have already surrendered all of our control to these companies. Because when you think about it, there are, if you wanted to bake cakes, you opened a cake shop. Mm-hmm. And speaking of power, the power company went, we don't like you. We don't like your cakes. So no power. Shut it down. Shut down the power to our cake shop.
Oh, my God.
You would have a legal recourse. You would be able to sue them for disenfranchisement.
Right.
And for loss of revenue. And like Twitter is just a site where we all sign a thing that we don't read. That's as long as our entire body.
Yeah.
Or half a CVS receipt. I got them. And if they just go, yeah, not you, you're done.
Yes.
There's absolutely nothing, and it's all at will. There's nothing that we can do. And they've even shown that, like, the president, and I'm not saying, I don't want Trump to be, like, reinstated or anything like that. I think it's very good that he's been deplatformed on Twitter. Mm-hmm. But he was the president. Yeah. And they're like, no hate speech, sorry.
Right.
And so, that was it.
Yeah.
And he's the president.
Right.
like he should have access to, I mean, he shouldn't be a racist
Right.
and a fascist,
Yep.
but he should have access to the people, right? Now, it
Mhm.
isn't Twitter's job to do that, but you'd think the president, like if Mariah Carey said something dumb tomorrow, and I'm assuming Mariah Carey has millions and millions of followers.
I'm assuming.
If she says something dumb tomorrow and whatever computer scans for dumb things and just shut her down, she would go, oh, I'm sorry I said that. You know, can I get back to my 20 million fans? And they'd be like, yeah, of course you're Mariah Carey.
Yeah, I know.
But, you know, that's not for just average people. Somebody like you who doesn't have a lot of followers, but
And
you
I don't
are trying to make your
tweet that often.
living, you know,
Yeah.
as somebody who has, you know, connections to people who need to know what you're saying and doing, you know, as a personality.
Mhm.
If Twitter just said tomorrow, you're done, that's like the end of your career.
I know. I'm kind of bummed about it because it's like,
And
I
you
don't
have no
wanna
control
I don't
over
want to
it.
start Twitter all over again.
Which, yeah. So, I don't know. People have called for I think it's kind of silly. I think there's other things that should be in line first, but people have called for like the nationalization of Facebook or Twitter because
What would that entail exactly?
that would entail it being either totally publicly owned by the government or regulated, you know, in a privatized sort of way. So, like, once again, here's the hat trick. The power companies. The power companies are privately owned,
Right.
but they are regulated so that they cannot, and they get around these regulations all the time, but so they cannot, you know, bilk you like, oh, now it's cold, so we're going to jack the price of heat up. What are you going to do?
Right.
Like they are regulated so that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so people have argued that Facebook and Twitter, yes, that's where your baby pictures and your dog pictures go, but it's how we communicate now.
It
If you
is how we
suddenly said, you
communicate.
know, if we're all on landlines and phones on the wall still, and they said, well, you can only call at this time and you can't call this person because I don't want you to call that person, that totally would not fly.
No.
So I don't know. I hope you get your account back.
I hope I do too.
I wonder if there's something that if you need a character witness or something like that, I'm willing to step in.
They didn't all they it's like basically they just give you a thing for you to say to plead your case and that's it. Like there's a space. I was like, I think I was hacked. I didn't do anything. I barely post. Please give me my account back.
I think it's okay to part of arguing your case can just be you going like, why did this happen? Or like, can you provide to me? Like the American criminal justice system, you have the right to face your accuser. You have the right to know
I
what
wanna
you
know
are being
what
indicted for.
I wanted to know that too, but I didn't feel like I could
but
say that.
This is not the American criminal justice system.
No, I know.
No, whatever the reverse of that is. Zhup, zhup.
The reverse of that.
It's
yeah.
our shore leave show. It's Order and Law. It's
Yes.
our shore leave episode where we talk about anything but Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
That's not really true. Sometimes we talk
Sometimes we
about
talk about Sailor Moon.
but it's not the usual thing.
No.
And we're back to have a chat about a couple of different topics. And I believe that you won,
yeah.
lost
I don't know.
the toss.
Won or lost the toss. It depends on how you look at it. I didn't care who went first, but neither of us wanted to choose. So we rolled the die. And
And it came up you.
it came up me.
Yeah.
So
What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about so you remember Shinzo Abe? Well,
I'll go first. Okay.
His state funeral was this week.
Wow, that took a while.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about this because it has been controversial that he got a state funeral for a couple of different reasons. So a state funeral is, nationally funded and in Japan, and I think that at least one prefecture gave tax dollars as well. So it's from national tax money.
Yeah.
And I think at least one prefecture gave tax money as well. And it was a big, huge affair. And they were anticipating protests. Protests did happen. There were about 200 to 300 protesters there. And about 20,000 police officers were deployed. And this took place at Budokan, which is a venue that has hosted...
Woo! Cheap trick.
Yeah, right. It has hosted like concerts. So yeah, but it's hosted Olympic competitions and music acts, including the Beatles. Around 4,300 people attended. So let's look at the numbers one more time. 20,000 police for 4,300 people. Is that necessary?
Yeah.
I don't know. But 4,300 people attended, 700 of them being foreign dignitaries and officials. So some of them were just Japanese people who wanted to pay their respects. But this was controversial because very few people in Japanese history are given a state funeral. It is not something that is guaranteed for a prime minister or a former prime minister. It is something that is pretty much guaranteed. It's guaranteed if you were an emperor or a former emperor, you get a state funeral. So there have been a couple of different laws throughout history, and at one point in time, it was emperor or empress or former empress, you get a state funeral. And sometimes if you're a prime minister, or if you're a war hero, if you're some sort of war general or something like that, maybe you'll get a state funeral. But at some point during the past, a former empress passed away, and it was decided she was not going to get a state funeral. So it's been this huge thing, who gets one, who doesn't, and she kind of ended up getting a quasi state funeral anyways. Whatever the hell that means, because people gave money, and the imperial family funded it, so it's still going to be a big affair.
Just a point of comparison, Queen Elizabeth, 2,000 attendees at her funeral.
Holy cow.
But 250,000 viewers of her in-state mourners.
Yeah.
People waited literally 24 hours in line to shuffle past the coffin of Queen Elizabeth.
Wow.
So anyway.
Yeah, there were people that waited in long queues or lines to lay flowers for Shinzo Abe, and it was several kilometers as thousands of mourners waited in line for hours. And due to the length of the line, people were allowed to continue to lay flowers after the original planned time of 4 p.m. So that was nice. But so this was controversial because of a lot of his political views and things that he did throughout his career and everything. And some people felt this guy's getting a state funeral. I don't think he deserves one. It came down to, it was the prime minister's decision. And I think maybe the emperor agreed. But it was the current prime minister's decision to give him a state funeral. So the event cost an estimated 1.66 billion yen. And it's the only second of its kind for a former prime minister in the nation's post-war history, just to give you a little bit of an idea. So since the end of World War II, it's only the second
funeral for a
prime minister.
Prime minister, sure,
yeah.
Sure.
So it's not a guarantee if you were a prime minister you're going to get one. And I think a lot of the people who were protesting this were this guy doesn't deserve one because of things that he's done.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about charismatic right-wing leaders, right? Is that they don't have a large amount of support from the populace, but they have the right amount of support and a loud amount of support from a few people, which is something that we've seen with the Supreme Court barreling towards, ratifying, an amendment banning abortion, which is I think now 80% of polled Americans from all over the country are we don't want this. Nobody wants this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's something completely against what the people want.
Right. And so, really, it's weird that they'd let people bring flowers, because aren't the Moonies, isn't that their thing?
What?
You'd want the Moonies.
What is their thing?
They sell flowers, at the airport.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
That
okay.
wasn't mentioned in
All of my
any of the
jokes are
articles that I read.
right over the. No, why would they mention that in the article? I'm just saying the guy was killed over the Moonies.
He was.
You think they'd be like,
Yes.
yeah, let's just keep
His connection
no
to the
mass weddings
Unification
at this
Church.
funeral, and in lieu of flowers, just go beat up a foreigner.
I mean, I guess you can say, he was the longest running prime minister because
That's going around too.
I know,
Yeah.
but he was the prime minister for a while, then he wasn't because of health reasons, and then he came back.
Oh, great.
And it was really in his second term, which he had a lot of political scandals, the Unification Church, his connections there, and then there was also accusations of cronyism.
Yeah.
So, don't all politicians do cronyism? Isn't that just kind of a given? Well, they're not supposed to, but they do.
They're not supposed to.
So yeah. Anyways, they interviewed a lot of people, and people were. It was interesting because maybe they interviewed somebody who was like, oh, he was a great prime minister, and then they interviewed somebody who was like, I don't care if they do a state funeral or not, as long as it's just one day. That's fine if it's just one day. Anything longer than that, Yeah. And then other people were like, no, this is a horrible idea. So I just think it's interesting, and I also think that it's interesting that let me find it in the article, but NHK reported that about 46 of Japan's 47 prefectures agreed to fly their flags at half-mast, with the exception being, can you guess?
No.
Okinawa.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Screw you. And I laughed out loud when I read that because, we talked about before, I don't know if this is why, but we talked about before them kind of feeling like they're not totally Japanese. They're Okinawan first before they're Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
so I think there's a little bit of that still.
I'm sure he loved the Okinawan people.
I'm sure he did.
He was a monster. What are we talking about
I
here?
know.
He was an absolute monster.
I know.
He lived his life in such a way that it's not too surprising how it ended. I don't know what to tell you. If they did this for everybody, it would make sense because this is sort of like a privileged thing that we don't do a whole lot.
Right.
And the fact that he's getting one, it's bad move.
It is kind of a bad move.
But then again,
and I think also
the current prime minister doesn't want to be the former prime minister. Because remember, this isn't like there is a cult of personality element to it, but it isn't like the American president where you are duly elected by a quote unquote popular vote. He's just the primest of the ministers. He is just selected to head the thing. And so whoever the guy is now the guy in charge of the gang of crooks that Abe was the chief crook of. Yeah. And so if he makes them look bad, he won't be the prime minister anymore.
That's a valid point. I also feel like...
So he has to say yes to this kind of thing.
I also feel like the way that he died, because he was shot, they're honoring him.
Yeah, it made him a victim.
Of that. Yeah.
Yeah, after all the people that he victimized.
Right.
He gets to go out a victim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we don't assassinate people. We let them assassinate their own characters.
Yes, assassinate yourself. So
why did she get suspended from Twitter?
Oh my God. Well, that probably would get me suspended from Twitter saying stuff like that. I want to mention that there were protests outside of Tokyo as well. So there were small-scale protests in Kobe, Kyoto, Nagoya, and Sapporo. And I guess it was Hokkaido gave prefectural tax money. And so that was another reason why there were protests in Sapporo. Because why? Why did you give the tax money for our prefecture to this state funeral that was paid for already by national taxes?
Well, Hokkaido is a long way away, but it's closer than heaven.
That's what I've heard.
Something where Shinzo Abe is not. So,
yeah, let's hope not. So,
well, I'm glad we started with that.
That's why I
Maybe
was
we can
like,
move
I
on to
don't
something
know.
Nicer.
I wasn't sure if I should go first or not. I was like, my thing isn't fun, was the clue I gave to you. So, if we want to move on to something more fun.
Well, the bad stuff's out of the way. Let's get to the good stuff.
Sounds good.
You know what the good stuff is?
What is it?
YouTube videos.
Oh, I like this.
We love them.
Yeah.
We love them, don't we, folks?
We sure do.
Something this is like a 90s infomercial. But how do we get more YouTube videos? Can you send out for them? Save your YouTube box tops
Oh my God.
and send them to this address. Do you ever send box tops anywhere?
No,
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
It's proof of purchase, right?
Yeah.
They're just rewarding you for buying 6 boxes
Yes.
of cream of wheat or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
all right, well,
I mean,
that's
my
fine.
mom might have, but I never did. So
Yeah, but like what is that to just jazz the numbers for the sales?
it must be to just it must be to promote people to keep buying your stuff.
Yeah. Right. But
Right.
like let's say that I'm sure people never the point of like getting people to buy something is wanting them to like your product
Yeah.
and think of it as part of their lives,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And not every part of the Cream of Wheat Corporation can be focused on that end, but ultimately you want people to think of Cream of Wheat as their thing and hopefully pass it down to it's your family's thing,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But let's say, this literally happened to me, by the way. Let's say Cream of Wheat, in order to sell more Cream of Wheat, is offering a G.I. Joe Sergeant Slaughter promotional figure
Oh my God.
for 6 box tops of Cream of Wheat. Well, I'll just go out and buy 6 boxes of Cream of Wheat
Uh-huh.
because this is 1983 and they cost like $1.50.
Right.
And then I will throw them away or see if the food shelf will take them with a square cut out of it.
Oh my God.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So all you've done in the short term is boost the sales numbers for that period, right?
Yeah.
So are they trying to keep their bonuses, at the top, or are they trying to make themselves appear more successful? That's not a long-term strategy.
Maybe appear more successful. I
right?
don't know. Yeah.
I don't understand what the strategy there is.
I think they're hoping you get hooked on their product is what they're hoping.
So you think like, well, once I got to that 6th box, I knew I was a Cream of Wheat guy.
Or like I started collecting these because I really wanted that Sergeant Slaughter, but now I am a Cream of Wheat guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't happen.
Yeah, okay.
It's not going to happen.
Well, you could have given
Why don't you just break into people's houses
Oh my God.
with a board with a nail through it and tell them there's going to be a problem if they don't have some of this Cream of Wheat?
That's terrible.
You're bound to get somebody.
That's awful.
You're bound to get some impressionable
That's a
person who's just
horrible
worried that
marketing
if they don't eat this
suggestion.
Cream of Wheat every day, you're coming through that window.
Well, you could have given your Cream of Wheat to me.
And then
'cause
you
I would have
save the money
eaten
on the Sergeant Slaughter figures.
it. Okay.
Speaking of figures, I want to talk about YouTube videos, specifically YouTube videos about anime and about Sailor Moon.
Okay.
And remember, I mentioned the figures before. A lot of them are about, figures and merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to be mainly a hypothetical conversation on my part. Because I don't watch Sailor Moon YouTube videos, I can't. I am trapped in a spoiler-free prison. And anytime I even try to take a peek at something gets spoiled for me.
I know.
Maybe I should watch them, out of the corner of my eye and I'm not paying attention to them or something like that.
But then they'll say
like
something.
I do John Oliver.
But then they'll
What?
say
Something's on fire? What? You know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
every time, and it's fine. Like I don't want the world to change for me in this weird experiment that, I made myself do.
Yeah, I know.
But it makes it tough for me to click on, what culture? The 10 best Sailor Moon moments. That time that she shot Chibi in the face in season 5. I was like, what? No, what?
Right.
I can't watch anything.
I know.
So I'm relegated to just watching somebody go to a Sailor Moon event and then like have one hand on the pause/stop button.
Yeah.
The second they approach a kiosk with merchandise and I see like a color that I don't recognize because I key to color.
You are.
I see something I don't recognize.
Yeah.
Then we're out.
Yeah.
Click X, it's done.
Sure.
And so it's a minefield. It's a candy-colored minefield
Yeah.
with sparkles and the good tinkle sound.
Oh my God.
And then when I hear the tinkle sound, I have nightmares. I wake up in the middle of the night, that tinkle sound in my ears. But I've seen that there are a certain number, and maybe you could like fill this in for me. I'm attending a Sailor Moon event or installation, right?
Sure.
There are, look at my Sailor Moon stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Look at all my stuff.
Lots of collections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then occasionally there are it's the top 10 times that the sailors went to the bathroom. Number 10.
Right.
Other than that, I don't see a lot else.
Well, like,
very occasionally,
yeah.
some of the media analysis channels that I watch will come near Sailor Moon. One time, well, I would shout it out, but I forgot what it's called, and I feel bad. There's this guy, he's got facial hair sometimes.
Well, that doesn't help me at all.
It's not good. It's not good. I can't remember. But anyway, he was talking about, I think, LGBTQ representations in media, and specifically cartoons, and how I call it the Steven Universe episode, right? Like how are we ever going to get people to be okay with gay people if like we just can't show just normal gay people just being human beings on cartoons, and how like Steven Universe is like, and like Korra or something like that are like great examples of this. And like he was actually doing like a different video, but he like did a apology at the beginning of the video because he's like, obviously a million people said, what about Sailor Moon when I made this video? And I was not like, I like some anime, but I had never really watched Sailor Moon and I didn't know all that. And so then he did like a short little section where he'd gone back and watched a bunch of Sailor Moon. So
okay, that's cool.
that was really nice.
Yeah.
That's where I learned about welcome to the gay room, Sailor Scouts. But there isn't a lot of like media analysis of Sailor Moon.
Not a lot. I mean, I have seen some that are like comparisons between the 90s anime and Crystal, or the manga.
Yeah, but that's a Watch Mojo, the top 5 differences between Sailor Moon, and it's not even like I'm doing it too good. It's like I know it's a human being, although you can get like a non-human being to read these things. Like,
oh, sure.
The technology has reached that point. But it's always somebody who's like, they're reading it and they're not really quite giving it the attention that it's supposed to have.
I think I understand what you're saying. They're not emphasizing words, and they haven't read through the script more than once, or
so
what have you.
Yeah. So they're like, 407 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Number 4.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right.
It's just like some person with like, a collar, a chain around their neck, being forced to read this thing. And so I don't know why I'm complaining, because I wouldn't be able to watch them anyway. At least not. I'm looking at 2024. I'm looking forward to it.
Right.
But like, we're kind of looking for ideas, and we're looking for things that we want to talk about when we get close, because we are very close to our stated goal on Patreon.
Yeah.
I think 2 more patrons are going to do it. We'll be over the limit that we set to begin doing video content. And so I don't think that it necessarily, I didn't see us as YouTubers, but if you make a video, I might as well just throw it up on there, right?
Right.
Like, I'm not looking for YouTube success, but since YouTube is kind of the industry standard of video content production, I just wanted to make sure that I wanted to see what other people were doing, to know the best way to do it, but also what can we do that people aren't doing.
Right.
And so it seems like analysis would be a good way to go.
Yeah. But how do we do that? I mean, not that we need to talk about that
Sailor
right now.
Moon S is a nightmare, and here's why.
Oh my God.
Things like that.
Okay.
Sailor Moon R is garbage, and here's why.
Oh my God. It's not garbage.
Something like that.
Okay.
We'll need a mannequin.
We'll need a mannequin?
Yeah, there's some people who are always like, hitting mannequins with baseball bats. Maybe I watched the wrong videos, but
I thought you meant like, wow. I thought you meant we needed a mannequin because we needed a third person.
No, we need
don't have
the
a
movie mannequin.
Oh, okay. I've never seen it.
That's right. You've never seen it.
Yeah. Should I put it on my list?
Yes.
Okay.
You're in for a treat.
Okay, remind me later because I feel like I've
A rotten treat.
all right. Well,
What's the what is it? Is it wait a minute. Well, look at my skin. Look at my hair. You know how like the Norwegians, Scandinavians eat like fermented fish and stuff like that?
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like that.
What?
It's not,
I'm sorry. The mannequin tastes like fermented fish?
No, no. It is ostensibly like something good, but it is not good.
Okay.
But watched with the right mindset, it is amazing.
So
like,
it can be fun.
It's This is thrown around a lot, and people try to make something that's so bad it's good, and you just can't.
I feel like you miss the mark when you do that.
Yeah,
you have to be earnest in your making of something.
Earnestness is important.
Like The Room.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise you can't do really, really bad but funny on purpose. I feel like.
Yeah.
You know?
But this isn't even that. This is something else entirely. This is just why. Like there's so many things that you're like, why? Why that?
Why is this happening this way?
And you feel like they are kind of in on it. They're like, you're going to love this. We did this on purpose. But I'm like, but why did you do it though? Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon is another great example of that.
Okay.
It's a movie that
I haven't seen that either.
is tongue-in-cheek, and it knows that it's tongue-in-cheek, and it's being sort of like, it's homaging sort of like not only kung fu films, but like 80s rap films.
Okay.
It's hard to explain. And it knows that it's funny. It wants you to laugh at it, but you're probably laughing on the offbeat. You're laughing at if you're white, you're laughing on the downbeat. If you're laughing at the wrong stuff, but you're still laughing, right? And so it's okay.
Yeah. What's an 80s rap movie?
Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, Gotcha.
I haven't seen either of those.
Are they both canon? They're both canon.
I don't know.
Canon films.
Okay.
What is an 80s rap movie? I said it.
I just wasn't sure. Like
anything with New Jack City.
I was just thinking, are there movies that are about rap battles, and so then it's a rap movie?
Well, 8 Mile, but that's a 90s rap. I thought it came out in 2000. I think
it was late 90s, early 2000s. Easy. I just can't remember.
2002.
Okay.
What else? Those are all the rap movies I can think of. But the point is that been looking at these videos, trying to figure out the best way to go, and what do we do? Like rate the senshi or something like that?
We could, if we could do that, but that would only be one video.
I know. Oh no. See, you've been in the podcast business long enough to know everything is just the one thing.
Yeah, I know.
There's always more things that you have to do.
I know. I know that.
The thing about rating the senshi is that number 1 and number 9 or 10 doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, if you rate somebody's favorite the worst or somebody's least favorite the best, you're going to hear from them. But I want to know about the middle. Where are you putting everybody in the middle and why?
Okay.
Right?
Right.
You're just like, I just like blue. It's Sailor Mercury, my favorite. It's like, all right, well, there's no story there.
I mean, I think.
But why is Sailor Saturn above Sailor Mars?
Right.
For somebody.
Sure. Right. Well, I think you could. It could be interesting if you rated all of them and you had a Y after them.
Well, okay. Yeah, obviously, right. But I'm saying that's now. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what's interesting to me, though.
The Y.
Yes.
Y. Okay.
Not the rating.
I understand. I understand what you're saying.
It is a well-known fact that any bachelor of a certain something, blah, blah, first line of a book, right?
Yeah.
It's a far, far better thing I do than I've ever done. Far better resting place. Last line of the book. Fine. Stand out.
Right.
Put it in a list of quotations.
Right.
But the middle part, what's going on in the middle? That's the important part.
The cream.
This list
of
of cartoon characters is a story.
Mm-hmm.
It is a saga.
Yeah, right.
And I want to know what happens in the middle. Who's writing this down? This is the script for the video right here.
Right. This is the script.
That and like, you know, doing a collectibles video and like we don't have any collectibles.
That's not entirely true.
We don't really have any. So
I have
want to
some
do a
stuff
video.
from the 90s.
So I want to do a video where we've got like fake or made up collectibles.
Oh my God.
And we're touting their exclusivity.
Okay.
Right? But it's like weird.
Yeah, I could have something like made out of Sculpey or something
stuff.
like that. And like
right.
it just looks kind of wonky.
Yeah. This is a replica of Naoko Takeuchi's original prototype for the Sailor Moon design.
Yeah.
And just like a lumpy doll made out of clay or something like that.
I love this idea, actually.
Yeah.
We should be writing these down.
This is a napkin that Rika Izumi wiped her mouth with on the set of
PGSM.
Cotton Candy Burglars.
Oh, okay.
2 or something.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so that's kind of what you're looking at in the future. Those are our ideas.
I think that could be a lot of fun. Oh my gosh!
I mean, it's not just that, but that's about as seriously as I've been taking it so far.
Well, we haven't hit our mark yet, but I guess we need to start planning now.
Yeah, that's the fault line.
I know.
You don't step over the fault line.
Mm-hmm.
That's the line from which you jump.
Yeah.
So
I got another question. This is maybe a dumb question, but like
Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune are really our cousins, and here's why.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think the majority of the Sailor Moon videos that I watch on YouTube are collectors and people who have big collections and they're like unboxing something, and they're telling you whether or not they think it's worth your money to invest and buy this new thing.
Yeah.
And I watch those videos because I can't afford their collections, and I secretly pine for them. But where would I put them?
Today I'm unboxing this limited edition collector, Luna's litter box.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Mm-hmm. Put the cat turds in there. Now it comes with 4 turds, so that's a lot of turds.
Oh my gosh.
The ones that I see mostly are. There's a specific one. I won't give the name of the channel, but if you watch it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And this person goes, it's not just Sailor Moon, but this person goes to, I think they must live in Japan or around there.
Yeah.
And they go to exhibits or, museums, exhibitions,
theme
and then
parks.
talk about all the stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, what are you supposed to say? I mean, you're really here. You're not just going to show a slideshow of still images of the things you saw. Like it's about your experience. But this person doesn't really necessarily like have a lot to add to the experience. So when they're looking at merchandise, it's just them touching one corner of the piece of merchandise and sort of jiggling a little. And then we move to the next piece of merchandise. Sometimes being like, "Whoa, 50,000 yen, that's a lot." Right.
And
then they do they get to the part that everybody that does these videos gets to, which is something else that I want to do a parody of, is that they go to the branded restaurant or like food court of the attraction.
Mm-hmm.
And they always serve the least appetizing looking food.
Most of the time.
In my opinion, it's always cute. If it's Super Mario, the bun looks like a mushroom cap and it's white and red. I'm like, yeah, but your poop's going to be like orange. You know what I mean? Like
I know.
How does it taste? And it always looks stone cold. And you know that it's not like when you go to, I don't know, you go to the ballpark or the state fair or something like that. They're only, the ballpark charges you $50 for a hot dog.
Yep.
And the state fair is only open for 2 weeks. So they're going to deliver. But if you went to like a funnel cake place that some guy just pulled up to an air show and was serving funnel cakes, how are those funnel cakes?
Yeah, probably not very good.
It's the guy's nephews like making them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the same thing at these pop-up things, right? It's just somebody going in and they make that. The one side of the plate is flat white rice. The other side of the plate is this blue thin curry. And it just, like, how could that be any good?
I know.
But this person, whatever it is, the person always shows the curry, takes a bite, gets it on there, takes it, goes, it's curry. Just kind of shrugs. Or like gets the Super Mario hamburger and then like takes it. Oh, there's a little peach on the side. Oh, and then takes a bite, shrugs. It's a hamburger. Yes, yes, it is.
We can see
and
that.
He's getting into it. He's like, it's fried chicken. Like, what's going to happen?
I know.
I mean, and look, I don't know what you're supposed to say or what would be better, but I know you just.
I know what
you're
would
just
be
identifying.
better. I've seen YouTubers who are
like you're doing your own closed captioning or something like that.
I've seen YouTubers who their whole channel is making food, and I'm thinking of somebody in particular, and she is incredibly good at descriptor words.
Yeah.
And like really,
well, that's her thing.
Yeah, but she's very specific.
Yeah.
And so then it makes it easier for you, the viewer at home, to imagine what that experience must be like. And it's the complete opposite of what you're describing.
Right. And that's her focus is food.
Exactly.
And so when you talk about the texture of something, or you talk about like the combination of flavors, or you talk about like what went into it to give it, its character,
right,
then you are sparking neurons in the mind of the person who has also had food before.
Yes.
And it's like, that sounds pretty. I'll have to try that sometime.
Yes.
When I see a burger that is branded, to look like Sonic the Hedgehog mountain or something like that.
Right.
And then you eat it and you go, it's a hamburger. It's like, well, okay, I know what a hamburger tastes like, but why do I want to have this hamburger?
Right. What's
and the
good
thing
about
is that
it?
I think this person is actually being weirdly honest. I don't get the sense that the food is fantastic. I don't get the sense just looking at it, and also having gone to theme parks before. Like, I know the food's probably not good.
Right.
But the person is not trying to aggrandize or like lie to the audience, and that's good.
Yeah.
But then instead you could just show it and then maybe not make such a big deal. Like, cut the part where you take a bite and go, it's a tuna sandwich. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's the same thing every time.
I know.
I wait for it like a punchline.
Because you know it's going to happen, and it does.
It's creme brulee. It's just like the same thing every time.
I know.
Anyway, so I guess there are a few more videos than I was claiming that there was before, but still kind of looking for good, safe videos. But the best Sailor Moon
don't
content
spoil
I can find.
anything.
Maybe I should go to Nebula. We should all go to Nebula. Nebula provides. No, we're not sponsored by Nebula.
What the heck is Nebula?
Maybe someday. You'll get there when you sell out.
Oh my God.
So anyway, that's all I had to say about YouTube videos.
Okay. We'll be there someday, YouTube. So someday soon. So
Be on Nebula someday.
yeah. Okay. Whatever that is. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay.
Sailor Moons throughout history.
Sailor Moons throughout history?
The moon is over 65 million years. That's probably older than that. How old's the moon?
I have no idea.
To 2.5 billion years. That's the number that jumps into my head.
Okay.
Do you know the origin of the moon?
I don't.
I shouldn't give this away.
No, you shouldn't.
We should wait another month for this.
We should for
The
another
moon-
shore leave.
So we don't know, obviously, but because nobody was there. We were sick
What?
that day. But it is theorized that it was part of an impact from another body.
Okay.
So while the Earth, I think it was, the solar system formed.
Yep.
Our sun formed, and then the planets formed out of material that was left over and orbiting a protoplanetary disk. And so the Earth had formed, I think, more or less mostly, and it was impacted by another body, a hypothetical body that, of course, we don't know and we'll never know if this is true or not, but a proposed body called Theia, which was another planet in the solar system that was orbiting in a way that it collided with the Earth.
Okay.
And so that collision would have destroyed Theia completely, but it would have also ablated a lot of Earth's surface and some of its core out as well.
Okay.
And so that material was all scattered around. And so the process once again begins of millions and billions of years. The Earth, reformed, and the moon formed as well.
Okay.
Because the moon and the Earth share a lot of, geologically, share a lot of characteristics.
Okay.
So it's not something that plus the Earth isn't big enough to have really captured something. I suppose it's possible, but we're pretty sure that they, were formed kind of together.
Sure.
But otherwise, why isn't the Earth just bigger and there's no moon?
Right. Right.
So it would be the result of a catastrophic impact.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Check that out, Ben Affleck.
What?
What are you gonna do now?
Why does it look the way it does? Do we have any idea? Like, why did it form the way that it did?
In terms of its color or appearance?
Color and appearance. And, like, there's a lot of craters and stuff like that on it.
Yeah, well, there's craters because it has no atmosphere, or at least a very trace atmosphere, and so there's nothing to stop the meteors from hitting.
I see.
The moon, yeah. And so, Earth has been hit by asteroids, but generally they burn up in the atmosphere. By meteors, or meteorites. And so there's that. The dark patches on the moon, the mare or mares, plural, are lava, cooled lava.
Ah, okay.
Because the moon was volcanically active early in its youth.
Interesting.
And so the reason that it looks the way it does, it has all the craters and has the mare, is that there are no real erosional forces on the moon. That's why the astronauts' footprints are all there still,
right?
Unless another impact covered them over with dust or something like that. And so there is nothing to wipe anything away on the moon, like what you put on there. That Etch-a-Sketch stays the way it is.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. It's interesting too because we're watching For All Mankind right now, and like. Just seeing the astronauts go to the moon a whole bunch just makes it, I don't know. It makes me kind of wish
that is an alternate history.
Yeah, it is.
Because the government's doing space stuff.
I know.
And not rich guys. I bet season 5 of For All Mankind, there'll just be some like, Milan Flusk or something like that. There'll be some rich
probably.
guys like, I think I can do it better.
That's so annoying.
Yeah.
I'm actually really pissed about that. Because WTF, Well,
we're trying, but we can't launch our rocket right now because a hurricane is giving it to Florida. So
I know.
There's no way to get a rocket up right now.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
No.
But anyway, yeah. So, that's Moon Facts.
Moon Facts.
That's a new segment.
I like that segment.
Moon Facts.
All right. Maybe we should bring Moon Facts back sometime.
Yeah. So different than our warm and friendly Usagi Tsukino. There's no rabbit on the moon.
Well, the Japanese believe
only
that there is
dust and rocks.
Yeah, I know.
And guys with guns.
Guys with guns.
Season 2.
Yeah, right.
For All
exactly.
Mankind. Spoilers. Well, I think that'll probably do it for Shore Leave this week.
I think that
is the point of Shore Leave to feel relaxed?
I think so.
Then I guess I feel relaxed.
Okay, good. Yeah, we should do this with a drink in our hand or something like that with a little umbrella.
I got a drink in my hand. I got my feet in the sand. All I need.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Girl.
I don't know what you're singing,
Beautiful
but yes.
Girl. It's that Van Halen, Beautiful Girls.
Oh, okay. All right.
Here I am, not a kim in the well. You know that one?
No, I don't know that one.
No. It was made into a very, it's quote unquote famous. I mean, does it even exist anymore? But it was a early 90s SNL sketch where Chris Farley, I know, it's going to turn out okay. Chris Farley and Adam Sandler are in it. And Chris Farley comes over to this house and Adam Sandler's like, he's house sitting. So he's like, dude, you get to sit this entire house? This is amazing. He's like, wait till you see the best part. He takes him out back and he's like, you got a pool? He's like, but check this. And he hits a button and like all these like hot guys in Speedos like come out of the pool and they're like, whoa. So it's like they're all like, yeah, oh, let me get some suntan lotion. Oh, they're roughhousing and they're chicken fighting in the pool. And it's like, it's a beer commercial. It's Schmidt's Gay Beer. you know, for the distinguishing gay gentleman.
Okay, this is better.
And it's like,
so,
that's like pretty open-minded for 1992 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But
no
it never
kidding.
gets played in any like compilation things because of the rights for the Van Halen song.
Oh,
So I've seen it
Boo.
somewhere, but they like have a different, you know, generic rock track that plays. And the
Okay.
joke is like, it's, you know, beautiful girls.
right.
Yeah.
You kind of need that to sell it. Huh. Well, that's too bad that copyrighted music, man. I
You know-
mean, when we make YouTube videos, we'll have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. If Van Halen was really cool, they'd be like, go ahead.
Yeah, really.
Because if there's one thing we know about Van Halen, pro LGBTQ rights. For sure.
For sure.
I mean, I don't, you know, Diamond Dave's a hero of mine.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm sure that he'd be okay with that.
Probably.
I'll ask him.
There you go.
He quit because he couldn't do it anymore either.
Oh, really?
And I wonder
the
what
high-pitched voice?
I wonder what those last 6 months of concerts were like for him.
Probably pretty awful.
Where he's going, I ain't got no boo. He's just doing like an octave down. People are like, no, boo.
Boo.
Where's the Red Rocker?
hiss.
Get Sammy Hagar in here.
Yeah, right. They're throwing things at him. Yeah. Yeah.
He killed his throat for you.
You ungrateful
And I understand that.
bastards.
Yeah. I feel like we have that in common. Well, that's it for our Shore Leave show this week. And we will be back next week with another episode of Sailor Noob, of course. Getting ready to wrap it up. Put a bow
Yes.
on season S.
Yes.
And talking about all the things that happened.
Yeah. You got it. Yeah.
How do I say goodbye?
To us.
Yes.
Yeah.
To Esther Day.
To Esther Day.
Just gave that away. That would have been it.
You can still use
I gotta
it.
find another one.
Oh my God.
But that's it for this show. Thanks for listening. If you want to talk with us more about Sailor Moon or any of these topics we've talked about, or any nerd topics, or any real world topics, we have that secret tax channel on our Discord. People's talking about tax. Do I 401k this or like?
Oh my
so when I got
God.
the 1099, do I need a 1099E or 10? Yeah.
My
but
eyes
no,
just went cross-eyed.
We'll talk about whatever on our Discord. There's a link in the show notes, and you can follow us on our social medias at, well, not Mikadana, of course, but otherwise.
Oh, God, I know.
We're on Twitter at noob_sailor and on Facebook at Sailor Noob, and check us out there. Hey, are you a member of our Patreon? If not, why not? Go to patreon.com/Sailor Noob if you like hearing us talk about Sailor Noob related stuff or stuff that's not even Sailor Noob. That's the place to hear us do it. We've got several other podcasts.
Yes, we do.
Where we talk about Japanese related and anime related films. We talk about the live action Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon series and even a completely different anime podcast.
Yeah.
Where we talk about the first episodes of randomly selected anime. So if that is something you want to get in on, go check us out at patreon.com/Sailor Noob.
Well, thanks again for joining us for another edition of Shore Leave. We'll be back next week with Sailor Noob to talk about the Sailor Moon S season, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
It's a hamburger.